You're listening to 90 Day Soulmate with the Relationship Engineers, Jim Golnick and Lisette Guevara, only on LA Talk Radio.
Welcome to 90 Day Soulmate with Lisette.
And Jim.
Lisette is remote. Lisette, where are you? You're in Venezuela voting?
Yes, I make a line to change the future of Venezuela.
Ah, beautiful. We are going to be talking about moving from inaction to action. We're going to talk about procrastination, preparation, and performance as the three steps of moving from inaction to action. So what happens? Why do people procrastinate, Lisette? Do you have any idea?
I just want to know today how long take to prepare the show. You maybe have procrastination.
Well, that's the interesting thing is, yes, so that is something that I do suffer from, is procrastination. Part of it is, and we'll talk about why. Why do people procrastinate? Why don't they just get things done immediately? Why aren't they doing all the things that they need to do now, and then later on, they have time to do what they want? Why do they want to do what they want now, and then kind of get forced into doing the things they need to do at the last minute? Not everyone, but some, right? Lisette, I think you kind of do things ahead of time a little bit more and plan things, and I'm a little bit more, I wait until I have to do it.
Yeah, my style is I don't thinking, I doing. So try to prevent become procrastinate.
Right.
And really I plan. So typical, I do at least daily what I do today, and maybe it's not relaxing, but make me feel good because I have planned to do and I do.
In the realm of psychology and human behavior, the transition from inaction to action is a crucial process that can impact our personal as well as professional lives. This journey from inactivity to activity can be understood through three pivotal steps. Procrastination, where we're in this homeostasis of we are just at rest, not doing something that takes work. Preparation, we're preparing, maybe mentally and physically, and then the actual performance of that thing that we need to do. Today, it's write a show, put a show together. By examining these three stages, we can uncover the underlying mechanisms that drive our behavior and learn to harness these insights to achieve our goals. Interesting. So when do you think I came up with this idea for today's show, Lisette?
Maybe because you're alone at home.
I was procrastinating all week, not even thinking about what today's show would be.
I know it. Oh my.
So it was, what do we do? What do we do? So let's frame the discussion. I want to talk about procrastination, preparation, and performance in terms of something that maybe we all learned when we were kids. It's called Newton's law of motion. Newton's first law states that an object at rest remains at rest, and an object in motion remains in that motion at a constant speed and in a straight line unless acted on by an unbalanced force. Procrastination is the act of delaying or postponing tasks. It can be seen as the rest state of an object, or the state of being at rest. Just as an object at rest requires an external force to set it in motion, overcoming procrastination requires something, an intervention, to disrupt inertia and initiate action. And inertia is the effort necessary to move something from not moving to moving, or from moving in a constant speed in one direction into another. It's the force needed to do that. So it's overcoming something's resistance to not wanting to move in the direction we want to move it.
Yeah, in this case, I have an interesting example experience, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So right now I am with my mama, and she's a little slowly by the age.
Yes.
And I have one interesting situation. I was sitting with her, and I saw kind of the insect is posing in the window and also outside the glass.
Okay.
And then she need to reach in outside the window to kill him. And she said, "We need to kill this. This is a dangerous." I said, "No, left there. No. Let me do it." And suppose she's slowly, but she take the shoes.
Okay.
And then she immediately moves so fast and killing the insect.
Ah.
And I said, okay. So I talked with her and said, I guess the slow move is on procrastination that she has in the brain, but she has capacity to reaction fast.
Okay.
She needs to do something, you know what I mean?
So I'll explain this a little more. So Lizette's mom has a tendency to move a little bit slowly in one area or another, kind of in a relaxed pace. And we found out that when there is the proper motivation, she moves really fast, like killing a big bug with her chancla, right?
There you go. And she do it quickly. She put the hand outside the window so the chancla can be caught in the second floor.
Yep.
And she moving and put back and put the chancla. And I observed
Wow.
it because I leave the TV for her because I say I don't want to kill her.
Yes.
And then I say, okay, the problem is when your mind, when you believe that you are slowly, maybe you can do something fast when you are in some kind of situation.
So we're talking about, we're going to talk about this too. We have a few things like motivation, we have belief, and we have ability. So these we're all going to talk about is part of procrastination, part of preparation, part of presentation, not presentation, but performance. All these P's, so many P's. And we're going to talk about those things and how they impact the ability to do something, especially when we're procrastinating. So let's go to the second law. How about the second law? Ready for that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Newton's second law posits that the acceleration of an object from one speed to another speed, just like in a car, how you go from 5 to 50 miles an hour, it has to do with the weight of the object and the amount of force that's applied. Preparation is the stage where mental and physical resources are marshaled to undertake a task. It aligns with this principle. We're basically developing the force we're going to use in the performance. The effectiveness of our preparation influences the force we can apply to move from inaction to action, thereby accelerating our progress towards our goals. The effectiveness of our preparation influences the force that we can apply to move from inaction to action, thereby accelerating our progress towards our goals. And one of the things we talked about early on was cognitive behavioral therapy. Cognitive means you got to start in the brain. So in order to change behavior, we change how we think. And by changing how we think, we prepare to change our actions to a different action. And so this whole thing of procrastination, preparation, and performance is a sort of cognitive behavioral therapy. Maybe this is a different way to explain it.
Yeah.
And then the third law. What's the third law, Lizette?
So Newton, the third law of Newton, what is that?
Yeah, he states that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. In the context of performance, this law illustrates the feedback loop between the effort we make and the outcome we get. The energy and effort we put into performing a task generate the results that can reinforce or diminish our future actions. It creates a cycle of motivation or discouragement. So there's a action and then there's a reaction, and based upon that we get a feedback loop that either makes it easier for us to do whatever we did in the future because we've just reinforced everything, or it makes it more difficult because the result we got was not what we wanted. Understanding these stages and the principles behind them can help us navigate the journey from inaction to action more effectively, setting us up for success in both our personal and professional lives. Remember, procrastination, preparation, performance. It is natural. It's all part of our lives. And when we come back, we'll talk more about this on 90 Day Soulmate with Lizette
and Jim.
90 Day Soulmate is brought to you by 90 Day Solutions. So, what are the top 10 ways people procrastinate? Social media. Spending excessive time on platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Instead of doing something, some people just check out the social media. Internet browsing. Randomly surfing the web without a specific purpose. Do you find yourself gaming instead of being connected in real life? Do you engage in the video games for extended periods of time without really thinking about where time goes? Television and streaming is another way people procrastinate. Binge watching TV shows and movies. Cleaning and organizing. Instead of doing a task that is needed, just tidying up spaces instead of focusing on other important tasks. Now we look at email, checking email, keeping that phone on you all day long, looking at what's going on frequently. Daydreaming, not really paying attention to anything and letting your mind wander. Socializing, prioritizing social interactions over actually doing work. Over-preparing. And I remember this in a sales aspect. I'll talk about that in a minute. Spending too much time planning and not enough time doing. And then avoidance, finding any distraction to avoid the task at hand. So what are the negative impacts of procrastination? Increased stress. Deadlines become more pressing, leading to anxiety. Lower quality work. When you rush a task, it can often result in mistakes and poor quality. Missed opportunities. Delays can cause missed chances for advancement. Damage to reputation. Chronic procrastination can harm professional and personal reputations. Decreased productivity. Time wasted on procrastination reduces overall productivity. So that's a number of the negatives. There's even more negatives. Mental health issues. Prolonged stress and anxiety can lead to depression. Strained relationships. Failing to meet commitments can strain relationships. Financial loss. Delays in work can lead to financial penalties or lost income. Reduced self-esteem. When you constantly procrastinate, it can lead to feelings of inadequacy. And also, you can have health problems. Stress and poor time management can result in physical health issues. What are the top 10 reasons that people procrastinate? Not what they do, and not what's the damage done by it, but why do they do it? Number 1, fear of failure. Avoiding tasks due to fear of not succeeding. Perfectionism, you hear that a lot of times, waiting for the perfect moment or condition. Lack of motivation, not feeling driven to start the task. I have no reason to do it. Overwhelmed, there's too much to do. The task is overwhelming, and I think it's too complex to begin. Distractions, presence of numerous distractions. That's a few. There's 5 more. Here's one. Lack of skills. I feel that I'm unprepared or lacking the necessary skills. Indecisiveness. Difficulty in making decisions about how to proceed. Low energy levels, physical or mental fatigue, maybe health, maybe not sleeping, maybe not eating right, maybe not exercising. Poor time management. Inability to manage time effectively. Negative beliefs. We just talked about that. Holding negative beliefs about the task or oneself. So that's a very...
You can become your own sabotage person.
You absolutely can. So what do you think is where does this persistence in procrastination come from? Would you believe it's evolution? There's an evolutionary component to procrastination. That ancient caveman, and not even that long ago, really didn't have to think too much about preparing for the future. They had certain tasks that they needed to get done. Their focus was on survival. Let's look at that. The survival focus on the here and now. The homeostasis, just keep things as they are. I don't want things to change. From an evolutionary perspective, humans have developed to focus on immediate survival needs. This focus on the present can contribute to procrastination, as our brains prioritize immediate, tangible rewards over distant goals. This, in fact, is the further the goal is, the less likely we're going to move to do it. Safety and routine. Evolutionary, sticking to a familiar routine ensured survival by minimizing risks. This preference for routine can make starting new tasks daunting, leading to procrastination. Can you believe that?
Wow, yeah.
It's also out of our comfort zone. Our brains were wired to avoid discomfort and uncertainty. Having to lift weights or think about something or study makes us feel uncomfortable and triggers avoidance behavior. The human mind knows no time. So the human mind struggles with long-term planning, you know? That it focuses on short-term goals rather than long-term goals. So that's one of the other problems with us. So, Lizette, why do you think thinking and doing takes effort?
Thinking and doing.
Yeah. Why does thinking and doing take effort? I mean, we know that when we have to think, when we have to study, it takes energy. It takes energy to do it. It's not, it's not a brainless activity.
Why, I don't get it, because it's when you thinking go to the gym, for example. So for me, I think I have to do, but in the moment that I do it, I feel so comfortable.
While you're doing
At
it.
the beginning, yeah. But when at the beginning you make an excuse, no, it's late today, I do tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean?
So what's a trick do you use to get to the gym?
I'm not thinking.
No, thanks.
I go.
Well, remember, like I think we used to do this, let's just go to the gym for 5 minutes. Let's just go for 15 minutes.
Yeah, for a little bit, yeah.
And once you get there, you start getting into the exercise and you start forgetting that you promised yourself, 10 minutes at the gym. So the same thing can be true with tasks like that take mental effort. Instead of not starting at all because it's so overwhelming, start. And I can talk a little bit about today's show, is start with something. And I'll tell you about how I started with the show later in the show, because I'm procrastinating. No, I'm not procrastinating. Muscle activity. So that also takes energy and effort. Even seemingly simple actions involve complex coordination of muscle groups, which can deter initiation if we perceive the task as too demanding. What else do we have here? Oh, impact of ADHD. So attention deficit disorder, or other attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. People with that often struggle with procrastination due to difficulties in sustaining attention, organizing tasks, and regulating impulses. And I know one of the negatives and positives are that when you are distracted by things, you have to actually find things that really interest you, and then you super or hyper focus on those things. And so if you say, I suffer from ADHD, I could also say, I benefit from it. So, right? Because I need to find something that interests me, like this subject today, procrastination, preparation, and performance, and then you hyper focus on it and try to learn something so you can present it to somebody else. And that's what we do here on 90 Day Soulmate. And when we come back, we'll talk more about it. What do you think, Lizette?
Sure, we come back as soon.
All right, be right back.
Tired of attracting the wrong type of guy, it was time to give something else a try. She got her computer and started to plan, and created a process to find her man. Soon she went on a perfect date. And then she knew it must be fate. In just 90 days, that is all it took. How she found her match? It is in the book.
90 Days Soulmate is brought to you by 90 Day Solutions.
Welcome back to 90 Day Soulmate with Lizette.
And Jim.
Today we're talking about moving from inaction to action, the three-step process of going from procrastination through preparation through performance, and how to get yourself motivated to do all that. And today right now we're into the second section of preparation. We're going to look at moving from inaction to action. What is the preparation stage? It is the bridge between inaction and action. Preparation, even if it's just in our mind saying, okay, we got to do it, and then doing it, it's still something that happens in our mind before our physical body. By effectively preparing, we can gather the necessary resources and create a conducive environment for initiating and sustaining action. Practice and preparation provide the force and confidence that will accelerate the accomplishment of the mental or physical activity. Move that object from rest to accelerate to a velocity in some direction. Knowledge is potential. When applied in an activity, it becomes power. So one of the things in preparation that we talk about is, if it's in something like this show, preparing for this show, is reading about the subject matter of what we're talking about today provides knowledge, which then gives us power that is a force to then move into the show and actually prepare the show. That without the knowledge of what you're going to talk about, it's very hard to move forward in preparing the show. And we do this every week, don't we?
Yes, we do.
So how do we move from inaction to action? Here's a couple of steps. First, set clear goals. Define specific, achievable objectives. Well, I'll let you know about what that was today. Break tasks into smaller steps. Divide larger tasks into manageable chunks. Create a timeline. Establish deadlines for each step. Eliminate distractions. Identify and remove potential distractions. Gather resources. Collect all necessary tools and information. I'm going to stop right there because I'll tell you how I hit all of those. My clear objectives for today were, when I started thinking about the show, was, all right, I need to create a show. And the first thing I want to do is, my first objective is, I want to do an outline of what the show is going to be. I broke it into smaller steps, right? So I wanted to chunk it into how do you go from inaction to action? And I thought, okay, procrastination, preparation, performance. Let's break it into that. And then for each of those sections, I broke it into, what is procrastination? What are the negative aspects? How do people procrastinate? Why do they procrastinate? So I started asking all the questions of the different areas to come up with an outline for the show. So the smaller steps were, instead of looking at the whole show, I just looked into procrastination. Then I just looked into preparation, and then the subset and subset and subset. You can do that with anything. My timeline, I really didn't have to have a deadline for each step because I knew that I had to get the show done in about 3-4 hours. So I didn't have to set like a 2-week timeline. It was, I need to get this outline done in 30 minutes. Then I need to do the first part, second part, and third of the show. I've got an hour to put those three together. Then, create the presentation. I
guess also for your personality, when you have a time frame, you are more effective because you have just 2 hours for do that. Right.
So doing things at the last minute actually, what does it do? It brings out this emotion, this
the motivation for doing and stop to procrastinate. Yeah.
Adrenaline. You get a little adrenaline going, and as you make progress and you learn something, it becomes exciting, and then it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. As you are learning, as you go, you're getting these little rewards of knowledge along the way, and we're going to talk about how important rewards are as you're doing something. The main goal of today's show is going to talk about the ultimate thing is not the final performance, but it's training yourself to develop a pathway to go from inaction to action. And that success pathway is what you want to reward. You don't want to reward that, oh, our show's done, here it is. We want to reward all the steps along the way. If you're learning to, I don't know, play violin, you don't want to say, I'm only going to reward myself when I'm able to play a 6th year level piece on my violin. If you're able to get a really good sound out of one string, you might say, okay, there, I'm going to reward myself at that point, because then you're going to feel good about the practice needed to get to that point. And so you want to reward the success pathway, not the end result. The end result will be a reward in itself. But when you train your brain to motivate itself to try to achieve, it will then look to try to do that, but you need those rewards, and we'll talk about that little dopamine fix that you get along the way and how that builds an automatic path that can be then used for parallel adventures. Meaning if you have I develop a show this week on procrastination. Next week it's going to be on something else. Well, these paths that are used to get there are very similar. So what I remember this saying, what you learn in school or I never use. Well, everything you learn, you use in a way that your brain is now capable of thinking in a different way because you've created these new pathways, these new neural pathways. Very important. How else to motivate yourself? Visualize success. Lizette, you did a lot of that, right? Visualizing success.
Yeah, I do it also in my mind and my wall and my note. I visualize my achievable target.
Yeah. So write it down, create a vision board, develop a routine, give yourself certain times. Like for me, my Sunday morning's my routine to build the show. Seek support, get help from friends, family, or colleagues. Stay accountable. Share your goals with others to stay accountable, but share them with people who are going to hold you accountable, not people who are going to distract and take away from your success. And reward progress. Celebrate small victories along the way. And we'll talk about why that is very important. Environment. How about the environment? So when I did today's outline and prepared for the show, I sat at the dinner table. I made sure that I had breakfast already, had a nice cup of coffee, turned Mozart on Spotify, and put this whole environment together. And we're going to talk about that. So here's some of the things in the environment. It helps to clear your brain. To create a conducive environment, it is crucial for effective preparation. Clutter-free, organized workspace can enhance focus and productivity, whether at home or at work. Temperature, I found this very interesting. Studies show that maintaining a comfortable temperature is essential. Studies suggest that a moderate temperature, about 72 degrees Fahrenheit, optimizes cognitive performance and concentration. What's very interesting is that 71, 72 degrees is what we call, what did we call that? It's like the average office temperature that's suggested. It's been around for a long time. It must be one that kind of is average for people. It's a little warm for some, a little cool for others, but just right for most people. I found that interesting. What else is there? Music. We just talked about music. Can be a powerful tool for enhancing focus. Instrumental or classical music is often recommended as it can improve concentration without the distraction of lyrics. It can actually, for me, it helps me concentrate on what I'm doing and not be distracted by outside sounds. Light conditions, proper lighting, make sure you have enough lighting, not too much, not too little. Natural light is ideal, but adjustable artificial lighting can also be effective. Colors, I started looking into colors. Blue is known to enhance focus, while green can promote relaxation and creativity. Those were some interesting things. What do you think about water? Stay hydrated, right?
Yeah, definitely.
It's also good for working out, but maintaining cognitive performance and overall well-being. Coffee. Caffeine can improve alertness and concentration, but too much could
About wine.
Well, that is funny you ask.
Mm-hmm.
So we talk about food and drink. Here we go. Nutrition plays a significant role. Healthy snacks like nuts, fruits, and vegetables can sustain energy levels, but alcohol, while it might seem like a fun way to unwind and be creative, it can also impair cognitive function and should be avoided during preparation phases.
Okay, so no more wine.
That's it. And sleep, adequate sleep, is crucial for cognitive function and productivity. Ensuring 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep each night can significantly enhance preparation efforts. Earlier today, just a few minutes ago, we talked about the action outline, or at least I did. So each week I create an outline of what I think I want the show to contain, and then start researching it. I can skip letters and words, research.
How much coffee you have today?
I only had 2 cups of coffee today. I also had a whole avocado. That was a surprise. I don't usually eat them.
Oh, you did that?
Yeah,
Nice.
I did. An action outline provides a roadmap for completing tasks. It should include specific steps, deadlines, and necessary resources. For instance, my first step today of moving from inaction to action, I wrote a 3-page outline of today's show. See, told you I was going to talk about it. So today, my moving from not doing something to doing something was, okay, it seems like it's going to be an overwhelming task. So let me create an outline of what we want to cover. Researching and finding the knowledge and resources, gathering information, you should start to then gather the relevant information to whatever the task is, which helps you do the task that you're trying to complete. This might involve reading articles, consulting experts, or assessing online resources. For me, it's looking at research online, psychological research, to see where it supports the theories and ideas that I'm trying to cover, that we're trying to research, to make sure that there is actual modern, current psychological research that supports the content that we are providing for you. Filling in the details to move from inaction to action. Detailing the plan involves specifying each step, identifying potential obstacles, and developing strategies to overcome them. For instance, that gets more into when you're trying to do more than a presentation. Say you're trying to move to a new town and you need to look at all the things that will help you get there, things that are in your way. You got to sell your home, your job becomes closer or further. So being able to see who you need to be connected with, what obstacles you need to overcome, those things are very important to move from inaction to action, because unless you think about them, you may think, I don't know what I need to do, and therefore you don't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Finding the motivation, and we just talked about that with your mom, Lizette.
Yeah.
Generating excitement. Get excited about what you're doing. This might involve focusing on the benefit of completing the task or visualizing the positive outcomes. In my case, it's learning new information. Feeling that progress is being made along the way. Tracking the progress can provide a sense of achievement and encourage continued effort. Using tools like checklists or progress trackers can be helpful in tracking your progress. Inertia and how preparation can overcome it. So inertia, as we talked before about, say, a rock or some kind of mass, is the resistance to change. It can become a significant barrier to action. Inertia can be in your brain, it can be in your mind, it can be in your body. Preparation serves as the force necessary to overcome this inertia. By systematically addressing these factors that contribute to inertia, such as fear, being overwhelmed, or lack of resources, we can create momentum that propel us to our goal. So that's the preparation stage, Lizette. And once we have the knowledge, once we have the motivation, once we overcome the fear, and we are now excited to get started on whatever our next step is, which is our performance, it's time to take a break.
Tired of attracting the wrong type of guy, it was time to give something else a try. She got her computer and started to plan and created a process to find her man. Soon she went on a perfect date. And then she knew it must be fate. In just 90 days, that is all it took. How she found her match? It is in the book.
90 Days Soulmate is brought to you by 90 Days Solutions.
Welcome back to 90 Days Soulmate with Lizette.
And Jim.
Today we're talking about moving from inaction to action using the 3-step procrastination, preparation, performance plan that we decided to focus on today at 90 Days Soulmate. We're looking at the performance aspect now. So we went through procrastination, preparation, and performance. And performance, which is overcoming resistance to physical and mental inertia, performance is the culmination of all our efforts that we've made to move from inaction to action. It involves executing the tasks we've prepared for and maintaining the momentum to achieve our goals. So we want to have some momentum going into there. There are 3 things which moderate performance. What are they, Lizette?
Motivation.
The internal drive to achieve goals. Motivation can be intrinsic, mean our own personal satisfaction or reasoning, or extrinsic. I said that wrong, huh? Or extrinsic. Hold on. Or extrinsic, driven by external rewards, which could be pay, could be somebody saying you've done a good job, could be an audience standing up, could be that you won the race, whatever it is. So motivation is one of the moderators. Number 2, ability. The skills and competencies required to perform tasks effectively. This includes both innate talents and learned skills. And by the way, I believe ability, you can have your own belief of your ability. And then,
that's
right?
really suggestion,
And then the environment, the external conditions that impact performance. A supportive environment can enhance performance, while a distracting or stressful environment can hinder it. How the people you surround yourself with impact your performance. What do you think? And I'll leave it this way. Studies show that by surrounding yourself with high performers versus low performers and the outcomes, that it shows that surrounding yourself with high performance can elevate your own performance. If you've ever been in a athletic event and you're performing against people who are really good, it does motivate you to perform better and gives you some intrinsic as well as extrinsic motivation to perform better. Studies have shown that you can get up to a 15% improvement by competing with high performers versus up to a 30% lowering of performance if you are with bad performers. So that is who you're competing with. But how about your support network, your friends and your family and your acquaintances that you're with on a normal basis? Can they give you the same positive or negative impact on your performance? And the answer is yes. They can also be one of the reasons we have procrastination. We want to do something, but we're afraid what one of our friends is going to say if we do it, so we just avoid doing it, even though we think it might be good for us.
So when you feel maybe embarrassed for something, can be part of the procrastination?
Yep, it can. If you're embarrassed, you might just say, okay, I'm not even going to do it. You may be embarrassed by not doing it. You may be embarrassed by doing it. Or by doing it, if you do this thing, you're going to admit that you didn't do something else which embarrasses you. You know what I mean? Like you may take care of something, but then people see you take care of it, and they say, oh, I didn't know they were having a problem. Like say, for example, say you know that you've got a problem with smoking, and you want to give it up. but you don't want, and you're having a hard time giving it up. You don't want people to think that you can't do it on your own, and so you're embarrassed. I know friends that they would give up drinking, but they don't want to admit that they have a problem with it. You know, they know they have a problem with it, but if they were to give it up and not drink, they would feel embarrassed that they had to give it up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I see.
So friends and acquaintances can distract, drain, or deter from your performance, or they can champion, help focus, and provide continuous emotional support, depending on your friends. So something says if you want to see how you are going to be in the next 5 years, take a look at the friends you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you have to get new friends, but maybe get some additional ones that are supportive of what you're trying to achieve, the goals that you need. And be supportive of those people who you think you can help out and be supportive of. I think that's a benefit. How to objectively measure your performance. And this is something, now that we're performing, there's a feedback loop, right? You want to have clear benchmarks. What are specific measurable criteria for success? Use quantitative metrics, numbers. Use numerical data such as time spent, tasks completed, or performance scores. How many pages did I accomplish? How many slides did I get done in the last half hour? Solicit feedback. Hey, honey, how did you think this presentation went? Did you like it?
Wonderful, baby, wonderful.
Beautiful. Obtain feedback from your peers, mentors, or supervisors. And then reflect and self-assess. Regularly evaluate your own performance against your goals and benchmarks. Do you feel more comfortable than you did before? So how do you change your approach to get the best results? Be adaptable by being willing to adjust your strategies based on feedback and changing circumstances. Continuous learning. Seek opportunities to acquire new skills and knowledge. Goal setting. Regularly review and update your goals to stay aligned with your overall objectives. And finally, time management. Optimize your schedule to balance work, rest, and personal time effectively. I think those are good points. And if there was one thing I want everyone to take with them from today's presentation, is this following slide. That small steps and rewards along the way signal the brain to seek success pathways. Psychological research supports rewarding the completion of small steps. It reinforces activity and creates neurological success-seeking pathways in the brain, which once developed will make other paths that you want to take easier to take and easier for you to accomplish other goals. Research in neuroscience shows that rewarding small achievements activates the brain's reward system, releasing dopamine, which reinforces the behavior and encourages continued effort. This process helps create and strengthen neural pathways associated with success and achievement. And that doesn't mean success and achievement like making money, but it just means that if you want to go from inaction to action, by rewarding yourself as you're doing that, you're going to teach your brain that your brain will actually try to find the way to action for you easier and simpler the next time, because it will have a benefit. It will see its own benefit in doing it. Your brain is far more powerful than you may think it is.
Yeah.
Delaying rewards, this is the opposite now. Delaying rewards until the final goal is reached can lead to burnout and diminished motivation. The absence of intermediate rewards fails to sustain the brain's reward system, making it harder to maintain effort over time. You have two things when you're working on stuff. You have the activity itself. Is the activity of achievement being rewarded? If so, the brain will like the activity of achievement to the end goal. But if you're not rewarding the actual path, the brain will be like, why am I doing this? Right? So the the brain needs to be and wants to be rewarded along the way. Little steps of achievement. Like in karate, I have my yellow belt, I have my orange belt, I have my purple belt, I have my brown belt. That you have these paths that you are growing in it. Because if you were a white belt and you had to go through 7 years of karate before you could get your black belt, but there was no intermediary belts, I think a lot more people would quit along the way.
Yes, it's tough.
It is very tough. So intermediate results are very positive. We've talked about actors, musicians, politicians, all these people who, entrepreneurs who are, all of a sudden achieve success and then are depressed, lonely, not happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They've achieved many things, but maybe they never saw themselves as successful until they got to that point. Like, I'm not successful for having gone to an audition. I'm only successful if I get the part. And I think I've heard a couple of actors who've talked about their job is to audition. Whether they get the job or not, that's just a matter of time and being in the right place at the right time. But if they've done their 20 auditions this week, it's been a successful week. And when you hear the clarity in their view of what their activity is and what makes them successful, and that it is the audition, which is a process, and that they reward themselves for having a good week of work, even if they don't have a job yet.
Yeah.
That's almost how we have to think. We're auditioning along the way of our performance, and our performance, whether good or bad, if we are successful along the way to getting, we'll eventually get to that performance where we get a standing ovation. But if we're only waiting for that standing ovation and it finally comes and we've never rewarded ourselves for good steps along the way, we may feel not like we never want to go down that path again, because the reward is too far out. If no reward is received along the action pathway, action is not reinforced. Note, any developed, this is one that I wrote this morning, which I thought I wanted to make sure I share. Any developed success pathway is available in the future to guide us quickly on a parallel adventure. So anything that we've worked hard to achieve and reinforced along the way, and any success pathway in the brain, meaning way of thinking, learned a new way of doing math, that is now available for other things that can utilize the same logic. The same neurological pathway in our brain can be used for other things than only the thing we just learned. So if we learned how to play guitar and we work down that path, maybe that will help us learn how to become an artist, or maybe that will help us learn how to create something at work that brings us benefit. Finally, today's key takeaways. Procrastination, we talked about, is being at rest. It's a natural state. It's nothing to be alarmed about, but know that you need to move from inaction to action by taking steps. Preparation is that movement that moves us towards action. It helps us develop our force to move us into movement. And then performance is accelerating and adjusting, getting feedback, and readjusting as we go. Understanding the nature of procrastination, we understand that it's an evolutionary focus on immediate survival. It's safety in routine, and there's discomfort and uncertainty it tries to avoid. So there's avoidance of discomfort and uncertainty. Let's keep going with that. How to prepare for action. Set clear goals. Break tasks into smaller steps. And eliminate distractions when we're working on stuff. Finally, performance and rewards to ensure building the success-seeking pathways in the brain. If you want to enhance future performance, feel motivated, and show optimistic gratitude, one, set intermediate goals that you reward yourself with. Seek regular feedback from others, which is constructive, to help guide your efforts, and celebrate progress with your team. whether that be your love, like Lizette, or people on your team at work. Practice gratitude. Regularly reflect on, appreciate your achievements, no matter how small, to foster a positive mindset and reinforce success. Appreciate you all listening to us today on 90 Day Soulmate. Thank you, and make this week be your preparation week in order to have.
You're listening to 90 Day Soulmate with the relationship engineers, Jim Golnick and Lisette Guevara, only on LA Talk Radio.